Welcome to This Explainer. If you're a Year 8 history student and you're tackling the golden age of Islam, well, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to dive into a time of just explosive learning, discovery, and honestly, an incredibly rich culture. This was an era where scholars, scientists, doctors, engineers, artists, you name it, they basically reshaped the world's understanding of, well, almost everything. So let's just get right into it. To really get a grip on this, we've got to set our historical stage and do a little bit of time travel. The golden age of Islam stretches from the 8th century all the way through to the 13th century. That is literally hundreds of years of non-stop innovation. Now, you'll see a middle date there, 795 CE. We're going to talk about that one a bit later. But for now, just keep in mind that during this massive chunk of history, the Islamic world was acting like a giant engine for global knowledge. Here's our agenda for today. First up, welcome to ancient Baghdad. Then, inside the House of Wisdom. Third, science, math, and medicine. Fourth, books, art, and culture. And finally, number 5, the legacy we live today. Section 1. Welcome to ancient Baghdad, the heart of the empire.
So, why was Baghdad so important? Well, if you were searching for the ultimate center of learning during this time, you'd be looking right here. Baghdad was the capital of the Islamic Empire, and it was easily one of the largest and wealthiest cities in the entire world. Think of it kind of like a massive, ancient global tech hub. But what actually made it so powerful? Why was it absolutely crucial for spreading knowledge?
It all comes down to location. Baghdad was positioned absolutely perfectly on these massive trade routes that hooked up Asia, Africa, and Europe. And it wasn't just physical stuff like spices and silk traveling on those routes, it was ideas. Because of this prime location, scholars from totally different cultures and backgrounds could actually meet up in one place and swap knowledge. It became this incredible melting pot for the world's most brilliant minds. 1,500. So what exactly does that staggering number represent? Well, during this period, the city of Baghdad reportedly had around 1,500 public baths. I mean, just stop and think about the sheer scale of the engineering there, the complex water systems, the architectural planning you'd need just to build and maintain 1,500 public baths in a single city. It really paints a picture of just how advanced and bustling this metropolis actually was. Moving on to Section 2, inside the House of Wisdom, the ultimate research lab. So Caliph al-Mansur helped establish this famously incredible center of learning right in the middle of Baghdad, and it created this brilliant flow of knowledge. Here's how it worked. Step 1. Scholars went out and gathered up ancient Greek and Roman books, making sure that older knowledge just wasn't lost to time. Step 2. They meticulously translated those texts into Arabic. Then Step 3. Scientists and engineers, they didn't just passively read these books. They collaborated. They worked together to make entirely new scientific discoveries in math, medicine, and geography. And finally, Step 4. All of this preserved and expanded knowledge eventually spread back out across the globe, heavily influencing later European discoveries and actually helping spark the Renaissance. They basically took ancient knowledge, gave it a massive upgrade, and then shared it with the whole world.
Section 3. Science, Math, and Medicine, the Tech Drops.
Muslim scholars made advancements during this time that absolutely changed the game. Let's look at astronomy first. These guys built grand observatories entirely dedicated to studying the stars, and they vastly improved our maps of the sky. Now you might be asking, why does that matter? Well, because those improved maps and tools directly help sailors navigate at sea so much more safely. They were quite literally charting the course for global exploration. A perfect example of this is the astrolabe. This was a super complex tool, invented and then significantly improved by Muslim scholars to help people identify stars and measure latitude. Imagine having this mechanical, handheld computer that literally lets you use the night sky as a GPS. That is exactly what the astrolabe was for these ancient scientists and sailors. It was a total game changer. But hey, they weren't just looking up at the stars, right? They were also looking incredibly closely at the human body. Get this, surgeons during the golden age of Islam actually developed treatments for eye cataracts. I mean, the precision and the sheer medical understanding required to operate on the human eye hundreds of years ago, that is just mind-blowing. No way around it.
The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that their STEM achievements were vast, but they were also deeply practical. They built large hospitals in major Islamic cities. Physicians studied anatomy and diseases so carefully that they ended up writing these incredibly detailed medical textbooks. A really great example is Hunayn ibn Ishaq, who wrote extensive texts detailing the complex anatomy of the human eye. And beyond medicine, they vastly improved mathematics and algebra. Oh, and remember those 1,500 public baths we talked about earlier? Yep, that was all thanks to highly trained engineers designing massive, super advanced water systems and structures.
Okay, Section 4, Books, Art, and Culture, the viral spread of ideas.
Remember that middle date from our timeline right at the beginning of the explainer? 795 CE. Well, this is a massive milestone. In this exact year, a paper factory was built right in Baghdad. They basically took paper-making technology, which originally came from China, and they fully industrialized it for the Islamic world.
Now, why does a paper factory matter so much? Simply put, cheaper books equals the rapid spread of knowledge. Before this happened, books were incredibly rare. They were expensive and honestly really hard to make. But by mass-producing paper, books became significantly cheaper and way easier to copy. It's honestly like the ancient equivalent of inventing the internet. Suddenly, information could go viral. It spread rapidly across the entire empire to basically anyone who wanted to learn.
Because education was so highly valued, we see the establishment of public universities where literature, philosophy, and religion were just passionately studied right alongside the sciences. And what exactly were they putting in all these cheaper, widely available books? A totally flourishing artistic culture. Beautiful Arabic calligraphy was used to decorate religious texts. Poetry and music became wildly popular. Writers were producing history, philosophy, and some really incredible works of fiction. In fact, one famous collection of stories produced during this time is 1001 Nights, stories that I'm sure you know because they are still famous all over the world today. The beautiful thing is, science and art weren't separated, they just thrived side by side.
Which brings us to Section 5, the legacy we live today, from then to now.
Let's do a quick wrap-up on why this era was just so profoundly significant. The Islamic Golden Age actively spread knowledge across entirely different cultures. It preserved ancient Greek and Roman learning that honestly might have otherwise been lost forever. It vastly improved science, medicine, and mathematics. And above all else, it encouraged this vibrant culture of education and really breathtaking creativity. This potent mix of both preserving the old and innovating the new directly influenced later developments in Europe, literally fueling the Renaissance.
So as a Year 8 history student, I want to leave you with this final thought. Take a look around your modern world today. What wouldn't exist without this golden age? I mean, the algebra you're learning in school, the hospitals we visit when we're sick, the navigational tools that guide our ships and planes, and even the very concept of a public university. So many of the fundamental ideas and inventions from ancient Baghdad and the House of Wisdom are actively shaping the world you are walking through right this very second. History isn't just about the past, you guys. It's the blueprint of our present. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking those questions, keep exploring, and I'll see you next time.